YouTube, what is going on? Back with my latest video. I know it's been a while, been really caught up with a few other things, planning a wedding, work related things. So back with a new video. I plan on making more frequent videos, so stay tuned for more content. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. But today I wanted to talk about the top 10 WWE Funko Pops of all time. So this weekend is WrestleMania, so I thought no time like the present to talk about the best wrestling Funko Pops Funko has ever made. So I tried to be as unbiased as possible for this. You know, I definitely have my favorite wrestlers like, you know, Randy Orton, Eddie Guerrero, and so on and so forth, but I tried to be very unbiased and wanted to kind of tackle what I thought Funko did the best as far as design, how much it exemplifies a character, and how much it translated well to Funko Pop form. If you guys have watched my channel for a while, you know I'm not a huge fan of human pops, so this was a little bit of a hard list to make, but let's get right into it with a few honorable mentions. First one being Bret Hart. I think this pop just pretty classic. It just missed the top 10. You know, definitely looks like Bret Hart. You know, Bret Hart, I think Bleacher Report just did a list of the top wrestlers, I think top 50 wrestlers all time, and had him number 1. I don't know if I agree with that, but I can definitely think, you know, in-ring technician, he definitely is up there. Thought I wanted to mention that. They did a good job of making him into Funko Pop form. The next one here, we have the GameStop exclusive Mankind. They did a lot of different Mankinds. I again, thought this one was going to be in the top 10 when I went through the list, but there was 10 more I kind of like more and exemplified the wrestler more. But this Mankind one is definitely worthy of mention as well. The Triple H chase, where he's like the King of Kings entrance from WrestleMania, I thought was a really cool one. There aren't that many Chase Funko Pop wrestlers. There are a few, but you know, there's a Razor Ramon, Jake the Snake, which didn't make the list because I don't think they're very good chases, although, you know, cool looking Funko Pops. But the regular version of Triple H gets a huge upgrade with this King of Kings Triple H chase, and I think that's definitely one worthy of mentioning. And rounding off the honorable mention, we have the Doctor of Thugonomics John Cena pop. Very cool. It's a gimmick that, you know, if you're not a huge fan of wrestling, you forget that John Cena started off doing that to be, you know, how he is today. Really cool one. They exemplified that character pretty well in the Funko Pop form, and I think this one is worthy of mentioning. So let's get right into the top 10. Alright, so at number 10, maybe surprised for some, but this one I think they did a really good job. You know, there is a regular version of this one, but also a chase. Sometimes I don't like when Funko does chases that are really simplistic, but this one works, and that is the Naomi Glow Funko Pop chase. So if you're a fan of wrestling at all, you know that her whole entrance is based around glow in the dark. I think it translates very well if you have this pop, which I don't have any wrestling pops in my collection right now just because not what I really collect, but I do like wrestling. The Naomi one definitely exemplifies her entrance. It kind of makes you feel like you are part of the entrance, and in general, it's a really dope pop. I think they did a good job with this one. The glow gimmick on Funko Pops isn't always used well, but this one works out well, and it being a chase makes it even more worthy of hunting down, and I definitely think that makes it into the top 10 for my list. So, alright guys, so at number 9, I wanted to do something that kind of hits more on the nostalgia feels, and I went with number 9 with Hollywood Hogan. So I'm not a big Hulk Hogan fan at all for many different reasons, but I don't think he's actually a great wrestler, and the gimmick is tired. But the NWO was so iconic. You know, when Hulk made that turn into a heel, one of the greatest moments of all time, and I thought that this pop right here is something that just makes a good collectible. It's a pretty expensive pop as well. You know, it's a little bit of an older one, but the Hollywood Hogan one is very cool. They did another 3-pack with the NWO. And they did just release a common with, they're calling it NWO, but it's just the regular Hulk Hogan, you know, outfit, and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash before they turned it into NWO. I don't think that one's good at all, but this regular standalone Hulk Hogan or Hollywood Hogan Funko Pop's definitely a great collectible if you are a wrestling collector. Alright guys, so at number 8 is a tie between the same wrestler, but we have Sting. So going again with the WCW vibes right here, we have Sting in his regular, you know, iconic crow costume with the white and black, and also the Wolfpack version when he finally did join it with the NWO, which, you know, take it for what it is, if that was a good idea or not. But I think the pops are so nostalgic for people like myself that are from the 90s and grew up with this, you know, era of wrestling. This pop just reminds me of being a kid. Sting was definitely larger than life at the moment, and I think these pops translate well. Like I said, human pops aren't always the best, but I think the face paint really helps with these wrestlers to make them look more like a collectible, and you know, without like a name tag on there who this is. It's so clearly and obviously Sting, and I think the pop came out pretty well and definitely cracks my list at number 8. Alright guys, so at number 7, some of my bias finally got in, but I had to include my boy Rey Mysterio. So there's a couple different versions of him. I like this one, the black version. I just think it looks cool. All these older Rey Mysterio pops are actually pretty expensive, so I don't have any in my collection. Would love to track those down. There has been newer versions of him that I don't think really look like him as much, or at least the iconic version of Rey. But this version right here, I think is one of the best wrestling collectibles you can have. You're looking for them in Funko Pop form, and definitely one that had to crack my top 10. Alright guys, and at number 6, another cool one from the Attitude Era, we have the Stone Cold on Zamboni. So I always like when Funko does the rides. It gives them a little bit more space to make a really cool figure, and this one just definitely is an iconic moment from the Attitude Era. I think the Stone Cold is definitely a pop that you need to have in your collection. If you're a fan of wrestling from that era, you definitely have to have a Stone Cold pop in your collection. I think this is the best Stone Cold pop available. It's just really cool. It stands out as a showcase piece in your collection if you do display your pops in that way outside the box, and definitely one that I think Funko executed well, and definitely one that had to be into my top 10 for this list. Alright guys, and another iconic pair at number 5, we have the Undertaker and Paul Bearer 2-pack. So there is a bunch of different Undertaker pops. This one, I think, to me is my favorite because, you know, it comes with Paul Bearer. They did a good job on both of them. I think, you know, even them being human where they don't have as much, you know, makeup or mask like other people do, it still looks pretty cool. You know who these two are, especially together. Really cool 2-pack, one that when I was going through the list I didn't even know they had, and definitely one that I'm going to be seeking out to get to add to my collection. Very cool pop, and if you're a wrestling fan, one you must have. Alright guys, a little more of my bias slipping in here, but definitely a cool pop. I think you guys can all agree. We have the Eddie Guerrero with Lowrider pop. So Eddie Guerrero, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. You know, he had that iconic Lowrider, and Funko did a really good job of putting that into a Funko Pop form. It looks really dope, really cool display piece. Anybody that's a wrestling fan that is aware of Eddie Guerrero will know exactly who this is. Very cool looking pop. One, again, I have to add, I don't know why I don't have as much. I had some wrestling pops, I got rid of it because it just wasn't fitting in my collection. Doing this list is making me want to get some more, and a really cool pop, number 4 on my list. Alright guys, so we're getting to 3 of my top pops. Hit that like button down below if you're enjoying the list so far, and if you do not agree with them, drop some comments down below what you think the top wrestling pops are that Funko's ever made. But at number 3, we have one that's pretty iconic, and I'm sure most people making their list would add this in there. It is the Invisible John Cena pop. So it's an iconic gimmick for John Cena, you know, the invisible, you can't see me thing John Cena does, and it's really cool that Funko took that and made it into Funko Pop form where he was invisible. I think they did the same thing with like the Jan Brady, like invisible imaginary friend she had. I thought that was cool. I know a lot of people didn't because they actually ended up charging you for both figures. But with John Cena, it works well. It's one that was pretty popular. I think when it first dropped, it sold out a few times. I think it was through Amazon, but very, very cool pop. One that has to be mentioned, and I think it's so great that it cracks the top 3 of my all-time WWE Funko Pops. Alright guys, and at number 2, a pop I think they did very, very well, and the reason why I think it hit all the way up to number 2 for me is it just looks like a regular human pop, but at the same time you know exactly who it is, and that is the Cody Rhodes Funko Pop. The reason why I think this one's so cool is because it kind of captured the moment, you know, when Cody Rhodes performed in his, he had like a torn labrum or shoulder, I forget what it was. But you can see it in the Funko Pop. It's a little bit gruesome, kind of nasty in some ways, but it's also an iconic moment that kind of catapulted Cody Rhodes to being, you know, the star he is today. I haven't watched wrestling as much in the last maybe 3 to 5 years as I did in the past. I remember Cody Rhodes being a jobber almost. When he came in, he was, what was it, Stardust? And to see who he's become today is really, really cool. This moment kind of encapsulates one of those stepping stones to be the person he is today. Maybe he'll be somebody who wins and beats Roman Reigns this weekend. And I think number 2, this pop right here, if you're a fan of Cody Rhodes, is the best version of him, and a very, very dope pop to add to your collection, and number 2 on my all-time WWE Funko Pops. Alright guys, and at number 1, it's a pop I think maybe I have, I just haven't taken the time to find it in storage, but it's a very cool one, and it's kind of like I said before, it encapsulates the character well. It looks dope as a collectible, and it's also something to seek out, and that is the Finn Balor Demon Chase. So there's two different versions of the Demon. There's one that's, I believe, an FYE exclusive. I don't know if it was a con or not, but this one's the Chase. I think it looks just as cool as the other one, but this one is definitely one that's worth seeking out. The regular Finn Balor one is cool if you're a fan of him, but that Demon version of him is, you know, one of the greatest characters of all time. For a while, he was undefeated. I think he lost once. I think it was to Reigns, and you know, very, very iconic character. It looks good in Funko Pop form. It kind of captures all the elements I said that makes a good Funko Pop, and it is one of the best chases of all time as well. So at number 1, we had the Finn Balor Demon Funko Pop. So I know a lot of people are not going to agree with my list. It is my list, but drop down your list in the comment section below if you disagree. Always interested to hearing your guys' takes. Like I said before, I am back making videos. I finally got my editing software fixed, and I will be continuing to make videos in the future. So if there's something you guys would like to see, drop that down in the comment section below as well. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks for your support as always. Until next time, see you guys later.